long before the rise of kingdoms or great empires. There was a strip of land known as Canaan, a fertile yet rugged region sitting between Africa and Asia. To the west lay the Mediterranean Sea. To the east stretched the deserts of Arabia. To the north rose the green hills leading toward modern Lebanon and Syria, and to the south, the dry Negev desert pointed toward Egypt. This land would one day become the heart of a story that shaped nations and faiths alike, the story of Israel. Canaan was home to many peoples: the Canaanites, Amorites, Jebusites, and Hittites. It was a crossroads of trade routes, a place where caravans passed carrying spices, gold, and grain. But it was also a land of altars and small kingdoms, each worshiping its own gods. Into this diverse landscape came a man named Abraham, who, according to ancient records, journeyed from the city of Ur in Mesopotamia. He settled in Canaan after receiving a divine promise that his descendants would one day inherit the land. Abraham's family grew. His son Isaac lived in the same region, herding flocks and digging wells near Beersheba. Then came Jacob, Isaac's son, a man whose life would become a turning point in this story. Jacob was born in Canaan, but his life was filled with journeys. He traveled east to Haran, in the region of modern-day Turkey and Syria, where he married, raised a family, and later returned to Canaan. On his return journey, Jacob had an encounter that changed everything. After wrestling through the night with what the Bible describes as a divine being, he was told, "Your name shall no longer be Jacob, but Israel." From that moment, he became the father of the 12 tribes of Israel, each descending from one of his sons. The family lived across the land, from the plains of Hebron to the valley of Shechem. The terrain was divided by rivers, hills, and farmlands, giving each tribe its own territory. Life in Canaan was not easy. The land was fertile, but depended heavily on seasonal rain. Droughts could bring hunger and hardship, and one such famine would soon push Jacob's entire family out of Canaan and into another land entirely, Egypt. The famine that struck Canaan was severe. Word spread that there was food in Egypt, a powerful kingdom built along the fertile banks of the Nile River. Egypt, with its predictable floods and irrigation, rarely suffered famine. And so Jacob sent his son south to buy grain. What began as a desperate act became the start of one of history's most famous migrations. Unknown to Jacob, his son Joseph, whom he believed dead, had risen to power in Egypt, becoming a governor under Pharaoh. When the family was reunited, Pharaoh welcomed them and gave them land in Goshen, a fertile region in the Nile Delta. There, the Israelites, as they were now called, lived for generations. Over time, their population grew, and the memory of their forefather Joseph faded from Egyptian history. Eventually, new rulers came to power, who viewed the Israelites as outsiders. The once welcome family became an enslaved people, forced to labor in cities like Pithom and Ramses. Centuries passed until a man named Moses led them to freedom. The Israelites left the lush Nile Valley and entered the harsh, barren wilderness of the Sinai Peninsula. Their route took them eastward, possibly through the northern part of the Red Sea or the Gulf of Suez, and into the vast desert plains of Sinai. For 40 years they wandered, moving through areas such as Mount Sinai, through the wilderness of Paran, and toward the plains of Moab, just east of the Jordan River. Life in the desert was difficult. The land was rocky and dry with little vegetation. Water came from springs or was collected after rare rains. Yet this period shaped their identity. They were no longer just a family. They were a nation bound together by shared hardship, faith, and destiny. By the time they reached the eastern side of the Jordan River, the Israelites were ready to cross back into the land once promised to their ancestors, Canaan. But the land they were returning to had changed. When the Israelites finally entered Canaan, the region was already inhabited by established city-states, Jericho, Ai, Hazor, and others. The land stretched from the Jordan River in the east to the Mediterranean coast in the west, from Lebanon in the north to the desert near Egypt in the south. Under the leadership of Joshua, they began settling across the land. The 12 tribes were assigned territories: Judah in the south, Ephraim and Manasseh in the central hills, Asher and Zebulun in the north, and so on. Each area had its own landscape, some fertile and green, others rugged and mountainous. Over time, the territory of Canaan became known as the Land of Israel, with Jerusalem emerging as a central city. But the land was never isolated. To the west lived the Philistines, a sea people who settled along the coastal plains near modern Gaza and Ashkelon. To the east were the Moabites and Ammonites, while the Edomites occupied the territory south of the Dead Sea. The Israelites were surrounded by these neighboring peoples, leading to centuries of alliances, trade, and conflict. As time passed, Israel split into two kingdoms, Israel in the north and Judah in the south. The Assyrians conquered the north, and later the Babylonians took Judah, leading to exile. When some Israelites returned, they rebuilt Jerusalem, but the region would continue to change hands, from Persians to Greeks to Romans. By the time of the Romans, the land was known as Judea. After several revolts, the Romans decided to erase the name Judea completely. A symbolic act meant to break the people's connection to their land. They renamed it Palestina, a word derived from Philistia, the ancient name of the coastal territory once occupied by the Philistines. The Philistines were not Semitic like the Israelites. They were believed to have come from the Aegean region. Sailing across the Mediterranean around the 12th century BCE, they settled along the southern coast, in cities like Gaza, Ashdod, and Ekron, forming a confederation known as the Five Cities of Philistia. By using the name Palestina, the Romans were intentionally reviving an old enemy's name, a political message to erase Jewish identity from the land once called Israel. Over time, the name Palestine stuck. It was used by later empires, first by the Byzantines, then by the Islamic caliphates, and later by the Ottoman Empire to describe the same general region. Through centuries of rule, the population of the land became a mix of peoples, Jews, Arabs, Christians, and others, but the name Palestine continued as a geographical term. By the early modern era, Palestine referred broadly to the territory that includes today's Israel, West Bank, and Gaza Strip, as well as parts of Jordan and Lebanon. Throughout these centuries, the geography remained the same: rolling hills, coastal plains, desert valleys, but the names and rulers changed repeatedly. The same stretch of land that once hosted Canaanite villages, Israelite tribes, and Philistine towns would later see Roman cities, Byzantine churches, Islamic caliphates, Crusader castles, and Ottoman villages. Borders shifted, and names changed, yet the geography of that narrow corridor between desert and sea remained the same. And that is the enduring story of the Israelites and the land they called home, as one of the most contested and sacred places on earth. If you enjoyed this story and want to dive deeper into more forgotten histories of the ancient world, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next chapter of our journey through time.